Good evening, everyone. Welcome to regular meeting for the Township of Malahide on February 5th, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. First item on the agenda is O Canada. Please stand.
Oh, Canada, this is the
Thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. Any changes, additions, announcements? Seeing none. Oh, Deputy Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to bring forth a little shout out to our fire department. It's got some information tonight I think people would like to know, so thank you.
Okay, under announcements then. Yep. Okay, so the resolution, please.
That the February 5th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be approved as presented with the following addition: announcement, fire department news.
Thank you. Mover and seconder. Councillor Serna move. Deputy Mayor Widner second. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Next is disclosure of pecuniary interest. Deputy Mayor.
Just thank you, Mayor. I'd like to have 1K, the part load drain.
Noted. Brings us to announcements. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thanks again. I just got some information tonight from the fire chief. I could probably just let the fire chief describe it. He's probably a lot better. If that would be okay with council, could he describe what our latest success?
Thank you to the Mayor. Just an announcement that we did receive our trailer to hold our side-by-side the other day that council graciously allowed us to purchase. We got that on Friday and then we were able to use it already yesterday. So we had to do a rescue out in the woods and it was a ways off the road and it worked out very well for us. So thank you, council. And it was very helpful to use. It saved a lot of time to help somebody get out of the hospital. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Next is adoption of minutes. So we have the minutes from our last meeting, January 15th. Any errors or omissions?
Oh, no, you're right. I'm wrong. You're right.
Okay, it says 15. I'm just reading. So it was a 15th, right?
Yeah.
Any errors or omissions? Being none, the resolution, please.
That the minutes of the regular council meeting held on January 15th, 2026 be adopted.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Lewis moves. Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, we have a public meeting for a zoning bylaw application. So let's call that meeting to order with the resolution, please.
The council adjourns its regular meeting at 7:05 PM in order to convene in a public meeting under section 3412 of the Planning Act.
Mover and seconder. Councillor Glinski moves. Councillor Lewis second. All in favor? Motion is carried. So this is a public meeting as required by the Planning Act to allow any person an opportunity to make representation with respect to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment relating to the property known municipally as 51949 John Wise Line. So Clerk Adams, can you tell us the method of notice and let us know when the notice was given to the public for this meeting?
This public meeting was advertised in the Amer Express for 2 consecutive weeks on January 21st and January 28th. Notices were mailed to affected property owners within 120 meters at least 20 days before the meeting, and the notice was also posted to the township website on January 16th.
Thank you. And Mr. Steele, welcome. And can you provide us an overview of the application? Let us know if there were any comments received.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, the owners of this property have filed a joint zoning bylaw amendment application and severance application to permit the severance of a surplus farm dwelling. The owners own several other farm holdings within the township, which also contain multiple dwellings, and so this particular dwelling is surplus to their needs. The provincial planning statement, county and local official plans all contain requirements for surplus farm dwellings, and staff have reviewed the application against those requirements and finds that meets all the applicable policies. No comments have been received from any external agencies or members of the public, and so staff are recommending that the consent application be supported and that the zoning bylaw amendment be approved in principle tonight, and that the final passing of that bylaw be deferred until after a decision is made by Land Division Committee on the consent application. And that concludes our presentation. I'd be happy to questions from members of council.
Thank you for that. Before I open it up to members of council, to see if anyone online, so the agent or applicants want to add anything.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Tracy Peelan Abs, Peelan Abs Inc. Land Use Planning. Just wanted to confirm that the applicant has reviewed the staff report and the recommended conditions and have no comments. So happy to answer any questions at the appropriate time.
Perfect, thank you. Any further comments? Okay, so questions or comments from members of council? Seeing none, so then I'll just advise everyone that any person wishing further information regarding the passing of the proposed bylaw amendment should contact the clerk. And for now, we'll proceed with the adjournment of the meeting.
That the planning public meeting adjourn at 7:08 PM and council reconvene its regular meeting in order to continue with its deliberations.
Thank you, mover and seconder. Councillor Surinam moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And now for the consideration of the planner's report.
The report number DS 2604 entitled Application for Zoning Bylaw Amendment D14 Z16-25 and Consent to Sever E11-26 of David and Lisa Tenor relating to the property located at Concession 5, part of Lot 26, 51949 John Wise Line be received, and that the zoning bylaw amendment application D14 Z16-25 be approved for the reasons set out in this report, and the final passing of the bylaw be deferred until after the associated consent application is conditionally approved, and that consent to sever number E11-26 of David and Lisa Tenor be supported for the reasons set out in this report, and that this report and the recommended conditions be forwarded to the Land Division Committee for its review and consideration, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any documents related to the required land conveyance.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Turner moves, Councillor Glinski seconds. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? The motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Steele. I think that's the only report this evening, so enjoy the rest of your evening.
You as well.
Okay, so that brings us to the approval of business. So the consent agenda, we had 2 recommendations from the Committee of the Whole. Anything that needs to be pulled out of the consent agenda for further discussion? None, we'll proceed with the resolution.
Whereas at its January 15th, 2026 meeting, the Committee of the Whole recommended items A to D. Now therefore be it resolved that the committee resolved that council adopts the recommendations listed from the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And now under new business, the first item is the petition for drainage. Director Gottlieb.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to council. Report PW 2602 is petition for drainage received for the Partlow Drain. This petition has been submitted by our roads department and our drainage superintendent under sections 4 and 78 of the Drainage Act. Essentially, what we've discovered is, if you look on page 32 of your agenda, you'll see a photograph of a giant sinkhole that has started. Apparently, we've had a few of these over the last couple of years, this one being significantly closer to the actual road edge than we had thought this drain actually was. It's a 1942 drain. It has well outlived its useful life and needs some replacement anyways. So we're looking to appoint an engineer to walk us through that process. In conjunction with this, we had planned in our 2026 capital road resurfacing program to resurface this section of Walker Road. With this pending drain replacement and not wanting to mess up our beautiful new road, we are proposing that council support us deferring that work on Walker Road until 2027 so we can complete this drain. And at the same time, our 2027 work plan included the surface treatment of Half Moon Road and the southernmost portion of Rogers Road, bringing those two small areas forward in order to keep our kind of net balance of the budget and to make sure that we don't start deferring road work that is sorely needed. So with that, if there are any questions, I will happily answer.
Thank you. Questions? Seems pretty straightforward, so we'll look at the resolution, please.
The report number PW 2602 entitled Petition for Drainage Partlow Drain be received, and that John M. Spreed of Spreed Associates be appointed to prepare an engineer's report pursuant to Section 4 and 78 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, and that council supports deferring the surface treatment of Walker Road from Chalet Line to Talbot Line from the 2026 work plan to 2027, and advancing the surface treatment of Half Moon Road and Rogers Road from John Wise Line to the southerly limit from 2027 into 2026 as outlined in the report.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Counselor Cerna moves, Counselor Lewis seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried.
Good for it.
So the next item on the agenda is an update on our road safety audit summary. Director Gobby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is coming forward for council's information through our 2026 budget deliberations. There was a bit of chat about road safety audits and what's been done and what was still remaining to be done. So I put together this report just to kind of give a high-level overview of this. That being said, it is a high-level overview. If there's any other specific details or questions, I can easily go and pull those records for a future date if needed. So the road safety audit dates back to the township's 2015 roads needs study. In that roads needs study, the consultant of the time had recommended to do some audits of some of the safety features of some of Malahide roads. Subsequently, in 2017, the phase one was implemented, which was basically all the township rural roads north of Ron McNeil line, which then produced a safety audit report. Next, phase two was completed in 2021 for all the roads basically between John Wise and Ron McNeil. Phase three was initiated in 2022 and meant to do everything south of John Wise down to the lake. And that project has since been canceled. Phase four was planned for 2024, more specifically to look at the urban areas of Lyons, Springfield, Avon, Copenhagen, Port Bruce, Mount Salem, all those smaller, more densely populated areas in specific. That has also, staff has canceled that program, with the logic being that in 2023, the Ontario Good Roads Association started a program where they were certifying road safety audit inspectors. Our manager of roads and construction went and completed that course and is now qualified to complete these types of audits in-house. So with that, the idea would be to no longer look at doing wholesale audits for safety across all the roads, which can give you a giant pile of actionable items. But if we do have a concern or any reason to look at a specific area, we have the expertise in-house now that we can go ahead and do that ourselves. So going forward, that is the plan, our plan of action, so that we can keep a good handle on it, and allows for a lot more internal quality control. As council may recall, we did bring forward our first internal audit last year when we took a look at Sparta Line, basically from the area west of 73 into central Elgin. We did bring that forward for council's consideration, and we subsequently implemented some of those improvements and safety measures. So just as a kind of a highlighting the expenses to date, and I say to date, but this is up to and including our 2026 work plan. So since 2017, when this first audit was taken in, we have spent $1.25 million on various upgrades that have been required. That includes on page 2 or 3 of this report, that's page 34 of your agenda. You can see we spent nearly $100,000 on third-party consulting services, a little bit on internal staff training and development, almost $300,000 on pavement markings, just for line painting, stop blocks, center line, all that stuff. Additional warning signage that's typically indicative of your chevrons that you're going to see all over the large curves, or those warning kind of checker plates that you'll see. A good example is heading out of the village here down Pressy, where hydro poles are in relative close proximity to the edge of pavement. We've added those reflective signs as a feature to draw people's attention to those poles, which aren't very visible at night otherwise. One of the largest expenses we've had is over $800,000 in new guide rail, steel beam guide rail that has been installed at various ravine locations across the township. That is a program that is still ongoing. The line painting expenses, the additional warning signage, that's kind of a one and done. Those are now brought into our annual operating expenses. So now we are repainting. So that has added, I believe it's about $30,000 a year of additional painting requirements to this. However, the capital works for these guide rail installations are still projected to be going on at least until 2030. And the previously approved plan for execution of this was setting aside $100,000 a year in order to complete the guide rail installation at these locations that were primarily out of the phase 2 report. So that is still just looking at everything north of John Wise. Anything now south of John Wise, if we have a concern about guide rail or anything like that, we will look at that internally and then make recommendations as required. So with all that, I guess the purpose of this was just to, there was some interest and public interest in how the money had been spent and what it's been costing us to do some of this work. I don't want to make it seem as though it's not important. Road safety is, one of our primary focuses here in Public Works. So we do take this very seriously, and it's not that we are ignoring things. It's just when you look at a concern or an issue, we have the expertise in-house to look at it in an individual case-by-case basis, which makes it a lot more manageable for staff and for the township to be able to plan and act on these things accordingly. If there are any questions or anything, I will happily answer.
Thank you for the overview and update. Councilor Glinski.
It's been brought to my attention that if you go south of John Wise Line at Imperial Road, there's quite a drop off there. And I told the person that from my perspective, I do not think that we need a guardrail there. But I was just wondering why there's not some kind of chevron or something on there, because I drive that myself, and on a dark night and the dark pavement, you really have to watch where you're turning, because you're liable to turn down into the farmer's field, and there's quite a drop off. You wouldn't be appreciated going over their soybeans, but neither would your car appreciate going over the side. Just something to think about when they're looking at that part of the road safety audit. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Glinski. Just so I'm clear, you're saying that was Imperial south of John Wise? Yes. Yes. Okay. That is something we can forward on to the county, because it is the county road, Imperial. We can flag that for them to have a look at and make that recommendation. Conveniently enough, they also have someone who is certified to do road safety audits as well. So we can kind of point that out to them and get them to look into that.
Thank you. Councilor Cerna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just so I understand what Councillor Glinski is saying, is that at the intersection of 45 and 73 you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, John Wise Line, sorry.
John Wise.
Okay, I got a solution for that right off the bat, and that is to put a roundabout at Ron McNeil Line, and like it should be, we've asked for that for years, take the flashing light from there and put it at the intersection Ron McNeil Line, John Wise Line and Imperial Road, and you solved your problem and you save money. So don't need to take it to the county. I just found your solution and save money at the same time. Thank you.
Tiffany Mayor Widner.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a few comments. As far as the flashing light on John Wise and Imperial, there is one proposed for this year. I put it forward to the county and they got it approved, so it's going to be illuminated. They're going to have a flashing light. It should make it safer. Well, it's already fixed. I beat you to it.
Taking credit for my work.
I know, sorry. A couple of questions. On page 2, the additional pavement markings, that's over and above the lines that we had down 7 or 8 years ago. I brought that forward to council. We got all our roads done, and it's been a great success, because even on these nights when it's kind of half snowy, you can still maybe see where you're supposed to be. I think it works, but that's over and above what we originally did then. 284, that's a lot of money for, they must have gold paint, I don't know.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, that was money over and above what has been spent annually. Sorry, that one is representative more of that additional $30,000 per year. So in that time period since 17 to 26, it's cost us $300,000 a year more of operating money. So it's not like 208. Like our whole budget used to be, say, $60,000, and now it's $90,000. So this 284 is representative of that cumulative cost that we've incurred since 2017.
Okay, thank you. So that just adds up. Every year we painted, you're adding that up. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. I think it's a great thing. I mean, and one more thing if I can. Additional guide rail installations. When I was at Roma, there was one of the workshop was about road safety and guide rails and things like that. And one comment they had was the new guide rails are not good enough for electric vehicles. I was quite surprised to hear that. So is there any, do we have to go back and replace them all to be good for electric vehicles? Or have you heard this at all? Or I was quite shocked when I heard it, but I just want your comment on it if I could.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the Deputy Mayor, I've also heard the same. I've not seen any published reports or proposed changes that have been mandated as of yet. However, I can say anecdotally, I'd heard the same thing that the sheer weights of a lot of these electric vehicles now is causing them to have to redesign guide rail. Will we have to go back and change the old? No. And that's why you will still go out and see the wooden post guide rail. Wooden post without cable is still acceptable if you don't change it. Wooden post with cable guide rail is still acceptable if you don't need to change it or extend it. You can repair it, but you cannot replace or otherwise modify it. Otherwise, then right now you would be triggered into replacement with steel beam guide rail. In the event that they come back with another change as a result of something like this, for the electric cars, for example, and they give us a new guide rail technology, basically the way they do that is they say, going forward, when you change something, you're going to have to meet the new standard. You do not have to retroactively go back and upgrade everything to the new standard.
Thank you for that information. I was just a little surprised that the EVs were being brought up on a bigger truck. What would be the difference in the weight of a bigger truck, a 5-ton truck hitting a guardrail or an electric car? I didn't understand that, but.
Through you, Madam Mayor, it's my understanding it has mostly to do with the center of gravity of the vehicles because the battery banks are so much lower that the design of the guide rails that are currently in place are meant to kick the vehicle back and keep it on the road or stop it from leaving the traveled point, but it's based on the weight distributions of average vehicles, which is completely different when you get talking EVs. So it is something that we are watching, and I'm sure there will be more coming down the pipe on this. And when it does, we will definitely keep council informed.
Oh, and I was just going to agree with Director Godby there. The low center of gravity is the cause of the issue, where the batteries are slow slung in the car. You're going to find now too, probably in the next few years, the batteries are going to lighten up in the cars again because now they're changing the batteries. Technology's changing so fast that a battery built in a car now is probably going to be half the weight that was built 5 years ago already. So you'll probably start seeing that center of gravity change again before next round of cars get built again.
Thank you for that. Councillor Wilson, no? Councillor Glinski?
Madam Mayor, since these cars weigh more by the sounds of it because of the batteries, does that mean that we'll have to pay more for licenses to have them licensed on the road because of the weight? Because trucks go by weight, so are the cars going to go the same way? Mr. Godby, no.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Glinski, that's a great question. I'd not considered, and I've not heard anything on that. You know, especially when you're talking about I don't know what the gross vehicle weight of something like a Cyber truck would be. You know, if it did hit that threshold that a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton pickup would meet it, I really don't know. But we'll definitely look in and keep that one on the radar as well.
Yeah, just keep it on the radar.
Yeah.
Don't.
No one asked too many questions.
Now, I was wondering, so you're saying that, so we still have several 100,000, so we have 100,000 set aside and until 2030. I know since the beginning of this, I'll call it a program, we've been operating on the assumption that once you publish your safety audit results, then you may be liable if you don't do anything, if you don't implement the recommendations, there might be a liability issue. So, and I know now we've had a change, things evolve. We just talked about how quickly things evolve. And I'm wondering if this management team would be interested in just getting a legal opinion on that and maybe verifying and validating that assumption. What if we could save $400,000? I don't know if you have CODS or Director Gobb, do you have any comments on that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I definitely think for the generally minimal cost of a legal review that it may be worthwhile. I would have a tendency to agree with you that there's been some assumption made that and I can understand that aspect of things. You know, if you've identified a hazard or a potential hazard and do nothing about it, that could leave you liable. But whether that is truly the case or what other case law there might be out on that, I think is definitely worthwhile having a look. And I can definitely discuss that a little more in depth with CAO Diaz and bring something back to council.
Thoughts from council? Is that worth spending a few dollars on the legal review? Deputy Mayor Widner and then Councillor Cerna.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I guess a review is probably your most prudent thing to do, but I probably already know what it's going to say. Are any grants or any opportunities tied to these road audits? Because that was always the threat. If you didn't do it, you're not going to get the grant. Is that still the case? Do you know? And is that one of the reasons? Because a lot of municipalities don't do them. I know at the conference we talk about it, and some places don't do them because they can't afford to do them. What's your opinion there?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm not aware of any grant opportunities or funding that are specifically tied to having completed a road safety audit. Like, you know, you think about the gas tax, or I don't know what it's called now. It's a different name, but I don't believe that they have any kind of requirement that says you must do this. If anything, there may be buried somewhere in there about the need to ensure that if you are rebuilding, that you're bringing things up to a new and proper standard. I could understand that, but to have kind of the wholesale, you don't get your funding if you don't have this. I'm not aware of anything of that nature.
Councillor Cerna.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just know, even though you have identified the problem, like, and I go back to the Carter Road situation, there's 3 hills there. All of them we have probably identified as needing guardrails. You guys call them guide rails. You're not guiding anything. It's a guardrail. So it guards you from going over into the ditch or that. Yeah. Anyways, my family's been on that on that road for, let's see now, 60, 70, 85 years. And nobody can remember somebody going off the road in that time in 85 years. So now if somebody goes off the road now, is it because we said we should have guardrails after 85 years? Does that become a liability now? One incident in 85 years? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. So it's probably worth a legal interpretation, because if you have one incident every 85 years, I can't see where they're going to say, oh, you know, you're at fault, because it's like a comet almost, you know, comes once every in a blue moon, you know, and that's where I think, you know, it's imperative we get a legal opinion, because to me it doesn't make sense that all of a sudden you see something there and you say, oh, you know, somebody might go over there, but it hasn't happened in almost 100 years, but it might happen tomorrow. Well, maybe it's not the situation itself. Maybe you got to look at the the way people drive nowadays. And that's probably more so the problem than the roads itself. Like I can't get over watching people drive. That's the problem.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's what I'm wondering is in like in risk management, you want to include the probability and based on history. And so maybe that's something worth looking at. Councillor Glinski.
Madam Mayor, a conference that I was at, well, quite a few years ago now, if a problem hasn't been identified, let's say guardrail needed at the end of a road to stop you from going over something, if it hadn't been identified, then it wasn't a problem until it became a problem. But if you go out and do a study, and the study says you need a guardrail, then all of a sudden you need a guardrail because if something happens, you're liable. At least that's the way it read at that time. Thank you.
And that's why, because it's been a while since we've all been operating from that assumption, we'd want, now there's probably more case law related to that. So we just want to double check if that's still the case, since we still have quite a few dollars on potentially on the books. So I think it's time to review that assumption or that statement. So. Okay, well, let's look at a resolution.
That report number PW 2603 entitled Road Safety Audit Summary be received, and that staff be directed to obtain a legal review prior to proceeding with the continuation of the road safety implementation plan.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Deputy Mayor Widner seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so thank you, Director Godby. So that takes us to bylaws, please.
That the following bylaws be now read a first and second time, bylaw 2606, tenor rezoning, and that the following bylaws be now read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, bylaw 2608, 2026 budget bylaw.
Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Glinski moves, Councillor Cerna seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, so then we do not have any items under committee of the whole. So that takes us to correspondence. There are the first four items we can consider as one. Anything that you wish to pull out, support? Seeing none, we'll receive with the resolution.
That items 1 to 4 be noted and filed.
Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Lewis moves, Councillor Wilson seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. The fifth item is the EECC 2026 operating capital budget approval. We'll have a separate resolution for that.
That the Council of the Township of Malahide approve the 2026 EECC operational budget in the total amount of $644,752, $322,376 per municipal partner, and that the Council of the Township of Malahide approve the EECC roll forward of prior approved 2025 carried forward projects to 2026 at year end, and that the Council of the Township of Malahide approve the 2026 EECC capital budget in the total amount of $1,177,467, $588,733.50 per municipal partner.
It is a big. Yeah, it makes you sigh, that's for sure. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson moves, Councillor Glinski seconds. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? The motion is carried. Okay, and this brings us to our closed session. We have one item in our closed session, so we'll need a resolution to move into closed session, please.
The council move into closed session at 7:40 PM pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following closed meeting minutes of November 20th, 2025 and December 18th, 2025, and a labor relations or employee negotiations matter regarding a staff performance review, CIO department, section 239-2D.
Mover and seconder, Counselor Cerna. And the seconder, Counselor Wilson. All those in favor? Motion is carried.